He said he used to be a former violent extremist, and now he is helping people leave hate groups. Life After Hate is an organization that helps people disengage from hate groups and racist ideologies. Joining us this morning to tell us more about it is Christian Picciolini. And you were in a hate group for how long?
I was a part of America's first neo-Nazi skinhead group from 1987 to 1995, from the time I was 14 until I was 22 years old.
How did you get into that life?
You know, I was just a normal kid from a loving home who felt very abandoned. So I think I was searching for what most people search for, an identity, a sense of community, and a sense of purpose. And a man who happened to be America's first neo-Nazi skinhead crossed my path when I was the most vulnerable.
Now, and you said that a lot of people don't realize it, but the neo-Nazi skinhead organization actually started in Chicago, has roots here. Tell us about that.
The southwest side of Chicago, in Blue Island, was the home of America's first neo-Nazi skinhead gang. In fact, right down the street from where I grew up.
Wow. And but you said you grew up in a loving home. How can something like this happen to someone like you?
You know, my parents were Italian immigrants who came to the U.S. in the mid-'60s, and they worked very, very hard. So they were gone 7 days a week, sometimes 14 hours a day. So I spent a lot of time on my own. And at that age, I felt very abandoned. I was also bullied and didn't have a lot of friends. So when this man approached me, he essentially promised me paradise. He said that if I were to go with him, that all my problems would go away. And it pitted me against everybody else and blamed everybody else for the problems that I was experiencing.
And you said you were 14?
14 years old.
Okay. So tell us now about this organization and what you guys are doing to try to change this.
Well, Life After Hate is an organization that I co-founded because I recognized how hard it was for people to leave hate groups or hateful ideologies. Not because they had started to lose the ideology, but because it was so hard to abandon the identity and the community.
Right, because it becomes a part of you. It's
Absolutely.
in deep there.
Starting over is very, very hard. So what we do is we provide services to people who are in hate groups and don't battle ideologically with them. Instead, we try to fill the voids or the potholes that exist in their lives and then work to make them better people. And eventually the ideology falls away. When they become more self-sufficient, when they can get a job, when they have a better education, we see them lose the ideology very quickly.
How do you find these people? How do you recruit these people to come in to try to change them? Where do you get their names? And
we have a website called exitusa.org, which is a confidential website where anybody can reach out to us. We often get emails from people who are in hate groups and want help. Sometimes we get emails from parents or from friends or coworkers who are concerned about somebody and what they might be seeing. And then we engage with them on a very personal level, very one-on-one, and I usually fly out and meet with them and sit and work with them for a while.
Wow.
Do immersion with them and introduce them to the objects of their hate, because oftentimes they've never met the people that they hate.
Interesting. Give me an example of a story that maybe really stands out that can bring this home to our viewers.
Sure. There was a 31-year-old man in Buffalo, New York, who had a deep dislike for Muslims, and he called me after reading my book, and I flew out to meet him, and I'd asked him if he'd ever met a Muslim person before, and he said, no, all I want to do is hurt them every time I see them. So I called the local mosque and I spoke with the imam, and we went to go visit the imam, who only had 15 minutes for us, but we ended up spending 3 hours there, and we were all hugging and crying and talking about religion. And by the time we left there, this man had come to a conclusion that he was wrong, and now he actually goes out to lunch every Friday with the imam. They're best friends.
That is an incredible story. Now, you've written this book. Tell us, it's called Romantic Violence, Memoirs of an American Skinhead. Tell me about this.
It is a brutally honest story about me, a normal kid from the south side of Chicago, being recruited into America's first neo-Nazi gang, but also shows the transformation that I made getting out. And I think it's an important cautionary tale to every young person, because I think everybody is searching for something at that age, and it's just a matter of who intercepts you at the right time.
Wow. So what advice do you have for maybe parents or friends or loved ones who feel like they're losing somebody to something like this, to hate? If you could give a message across to anybody, what would it be?
I would say that young people like to be heard rather than talked to, so we need to listen more, and we also need to support their passions. We need to get them to develop their empathy and look for the warning signs where your son or your daughter might be pulling away from you, and engage with with them, and don't be scared to talk about difficult subjects.
Wow. And we had been talking earlier too that there seems to be this morning just reports that there are more attacks now on Jewish sites, and more hatred is coming out as a result of racism. Have you felt that? Have you noticed it? Are you concerned about that?
I'm very alarmed by it. Since Election Day, we've had over 1,000 hate crimes, and the recent rash of cemeteries being desecrated and Jewish community centers is very alarming to me. And I think what most people don't know is that since 9/11, more Americans have been killed on U.S. soil by white extremists than by any other foreign or domestic terrorist group combined. So we have a domestic extremism problem in our country that we are not showing enough focus on, and that is a concern of mine.
Wow. What a pleasure to meet you. And I want everybody to know that they can go to your website, lifeafterhate.org, to find out more information, and also just to get some advice and help from you guys if they need that, right?
They can do that.
Yeah. Thank you. What a pleasure. You keep
It's
up the
my
good
pleasure.
work.
Thank you so
really,
much.
really amazing work that you're doing. So we appreciate you coming in and telling us about it.